Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
Loving that fade out ending. Oh, Ben really likes it. You okay?
Just doing the reverb, man.
Okay, cool.
Love the reverb, baby. I have a drink of water after that reverb.
Oh, there you go. Your Ben Joravsky show is just moments away. It is Friday, September 25th. And before we get to this, we got to thank the following unions for sponsoring this podcast. Unions like the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 9, they're sponsors. The International Union of Operating Engineers Local 150 are sponsors, as well as our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. All right, let's get today going here. We're running a little behind, so hop to it, chop, chop. Our song of the day.
Yeah.
Our song of the day comes from the Rolling Stones. Let's spend the night together.
Whoa. Now, should I do the R-rated version or the G-rated version?
I'm just expecting the butchered version by you.
Let's spend the night together. Now I need... That's Charlie Watts on drums. More than ever, let's spend some time. There's the G-rated version. Together now. Oh.
Well, now I'm curious. What's the R-rated version?
Well, thank you for asking. Here's a learned discourse on the Rolling Stones. The R-rated version is the song itself, Let's Spend the Night Together. But when I think it was the Ed Sullivan show, they said, this is 1964 or 65. They go, you can't say let's spend the night together. Can you say let's spend some time together?
Oh.
Okay. So they changed it for that show. I could have it wrong. Frank, look it up. It was somewhere that they changed night together to time together.
Aww.
Interesting little fun fact. Casey Kasem. This was the #1 song back in 1965.
I'm Casey Kasem. Well, hey, listeners, let's spend some time together because the Ben Joravsky show starts now. It is Friday, September 25th, and live from my apartment and his attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, it's another Rummana Rundown with Chicago Sun-Times editor, Rummana Hussain. And now your host, the furthest thing from a Rolling Stone that you can find. Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Booing Trump Friday. And here's why. President Donald John Trump got booed yesterday, loud and clear, followed by chants of vote him out, vote him out, vote him out. I know this because instantly after it happened, millions of Trump-hating Democrats sent me texts. Did you hear them booing Trump? Well, not millions. That was exaggeration. I'm just talking about Trump. I feel compelled to exaggerate and trash talk. Anyway, I know you all know this because you're all probably, most likely, except for one or two Trump lovers out there, you can't stand Trump any more than those people who booed him did. It happened yesterday when Donald Trump showed up at the Supreme Court for a photo op to help him annihilate the legacy of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Well, that's my take on what went down yesterday. It is, of course, not how most media people presented it. And to give the opposite interpretation, D, I will now read from the front page of the Tribune.
All right. I knew you were going to go there. How did I know? The Tribune.
Home delivered as always. There's that newspaper, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, okay.
A podcast host still relies on newspapers. Get them through the day.
Every morning in our pre-show preparation meeting, which, by the way, we should just tape those. Those are fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'd be about a minute and a half.
Yeah, I go, hey, D, man, I saw this article in the paper. Is that on the internet? You know, like thinking that if it's in the paper, it's not on the internet, because many times it's reversed. If it's on the internet, it's not in the paper.
Yeah, let's put that on the show. Hear a stressed out podcast producer.
And then Dennis, very patiently, as he always does when speaking to an ancient baby boomer, goes, Ben, everything's on the internet. Anyway, here's the headline in the Tribune. Trump booed as he paid respects to Justice Ginsburg. I'll read that headline one more time. Trump booed as he paid respects to Justice Ginsburg. I'm going to pause to reflect. Now, I know the first part of the headline is true. Trump booed. Yes, indeed, he was booed.
Now it's Halloween's coming up. Maybe they were, in the spirit of Halloween. Boo! Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe. Seriously doubt that. The other part of the headline is the one I have in question. In all due respect to whoever wrote that headline, let's ask the question. Was Trump, as the headline says, paying his respects to Justice Ginsburg? Was he showing up to pay her tribute as she lay in repose at the Supreme Court? I mean, yes, he showed up. He was even wearing a mask. His wife was with him as well, Melania. She was wearing a mask as well, which, by the way, is kind of funny. Not that Melania shows up with Trump. That's not what I was saying is funny. Oh, that in itself is kind of funny. But let's put that to a side. The fact that Donald Trump was wearing a mask. Folks, in a really dark, biting, satirical way, this is kind of funny. Because in reality, Donald Trump almost never wears a mask in public. I can't think of the time that he was so openly wore a mask as yesterday when he showed up to, quote unquote, pay his respects to Justice Ginsburg. I know he doesn't wear masks when he holds those rallies where everybody's packed together, all sweaty, spitting on each other. In fact, he makes fun of people for wearing masks. He definitely makes fun of Joe Biden for wearing a mask. And he cheers on his supporters when they say that making people wear a mask is the first step toward tyranny. But here he is showing up wearing a mask. It's like he really does think that only liberals have the virus, even if some of his supporters have died of it. And I'm thinking of Herman Cain, who probably caught it at a Trump rally in Tulsa. But that's the funny thing. It's like, well, I'm going to pay my respects to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is my Donald Trump imitation, D. It's terrible, I know. I'm going to pay my respects. I'm not even going to try to do I don't have a Trump imitation. You'd think I would have one by now. That's kind of
Oh, boy. I need some work, pal.
Can I just do my Trump imitation as Bill Clinton? There you go. Anyway, that wouldn't work. Anyway, but just think, though, I'm just trying to go into Trump's head. He goes, well, there's liberals are the ones who get this thing. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a liberal, and there'll be a lot of liberals there. I better wear a mask. I mean, maybe that's what was going on in his mind. Anyway, was he paying respects? I say no. I say that he showed up to continue the pretense that he cares deeply about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and that he values the work she did on the court and that he respects her legacy, even as he's rushing like Gale Sayers across an open field to replace her before the November election with a nominee, most likely Amy Coney, who will undo everything Ruth Bader Ginsburg did. But he has to look as though he's honoring her, so he can have a rebuttal in case people say he's dishonoring her, as I just did. So he wears the mask and he shows up to, quote unquote, pay his respects as part of his effort to obliterate everything she stood for. And by the way, if he really wanted to honor Ruth Bader Ginsburg, he'd require her requests as she stipulated to her granddaughter. According to her granddaughter, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in the hospital before she died, requested that her vacancy not be filled until the next president is installed. If Trump wins in November, Trump gets to fill that vacancy. If Biden wins in November, Biden gets to fill that vacancy. And what was Trump's reaction to that request from Ruth Bader Ginsburg? He said it wasn't true. He said she made it up. He said it was it's fiction. I don't know who he blamed it on. Was it Nancy Pelosi that supposedly wrote it? Chuck Schumer? I can't remember. The point is, when he had his chance to pay some respects to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, he didn't pay his respect. He paid his disrespect. Anyway, the people booed him. Because chances are, as I already pointed out, if you lined up to legitimately pay your respects to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you don't have a lot of love for Donnie Trump. In the aftermath, the PR lady at the White House said it was an appalling and disrespectful thing to do as the president dishonored Justice Ginsburg. I mean, oops, my bad. I meant honored. She said honored Justice Ginsburg. Must be a Freudian slip. We got a great show today, everybody. Rummana Hussain will be here. We'll be talking Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We'll be talking local politics. We'll be talking Rummana's recommendations. Lots on tap from Rummana Hussain. We'll be talking about Mick Dumke's latest article. A little fun there. But before we do that, the young man from Alton, the man that Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Donald Trump agree on, is called
Dennis.
Dr. Doobie.
Oh.
Dr. D with the news.
Name's Dennis. Been doing this 3.5 years. How's it going, everybody? Before we find out what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois for the fourth and final time this week, two things. First, Ben, we need a recap here, man. You were scheduled to have a live stream Zoom meeting last night featuring 16th Congressional District candidate Danny Brzezowski. Now, I know you're not the most tech-savvy host out there. How did it go? Were you able to connect? And have your thoughts on Zoom changed at all since last night?
Let's start with the last question first. No, my thoughts on Zoom have not changed. I can't stand Zoom. And it's mainly because I'm just a clueless baby boomer. I admit it's me, not Zoom, D. There's something about Zoom that triggers this response to me. I get all panicky.
I know.
And well, a part of it is that my computer, as everybody knows, doesn't have a camera in it. So I can't do Zoom on my computer. And everybody tells me, Ben, don't put Zoom in your phone. Don't do Zoom on your phone. I don't know why. So I don't have Zoom on my phone. So the only thing, I got to use my wife's tablet. I don't know how
you
to
have
use
Zoom.
it.
You have a brand new phone. You have Zoom on your phone. You can't use that excuse for a brand new iPhone.
Wait, time out. Don't you have to install it?
No.
No, I mean, it's still, I didn't, things I learn every
Even
day
if you
from
don't, I mean, installing, you say installing like you got to like go behind under on the floor and plug stuff in. It takes like 5 minutes.
Then there's always like this baby boomer fear I have that if I put Zoom in my phone, it'll be like take up too much space. That's another thing I have. And then all of a sudden, like in a month, my phone will be losing energy really fast, which is, by the way, don't think I'm not on to what Apple's up to, D. Don't think I'm not on to what Apple's up to.
This is my co-host, everybody, my coworker. I work with him.
So I got to use my wife's tablet, this little computer thing. And I don't know how to use that. And help me. So it's always a panic when I have to do Zoom. So I admit it. I need help. Okay, I admit it, D. At least I admit it. Anyway, put that aside. It was a great meeting. And I want to thank Indivisible Chicago for setting it up. And I immediately cut deals with two of the people there to have them come on. And one of them is Rose Colaccio, who probably knows more about election law than even the election law lawyers, because she's doing the deep dive and doing a lot of studying into this. And so part of it was the interview with Danny B, but then we got into the specifics of what's going to happen in the days leading up to November 3rd, vote by mail as opposed to voting in person, and the procedures that are in place to protect the vote, not just in Illinois, not just in the Chicagoland area, but downstate as well. And in Wisconsin, we had some folks from Wisconsin on the show. So very informative. There's a lot of fear and hysteria out there, D, in my neck of the woods, in lefty land and liberal land, particularly liberal land. And folks are really scared that Donald Trump is going to steal this election. And so Rose is just filled with information about what's going to go down and the procedures that are in place, as I said, to protect the vote. So I'm going to bring her on. She's coming on. I cut a deal with her. She's coming on in a week or so, and she's going to take the deep dive on all those issues. So I'm really glad I did the Zoom meeting. Very informative. And thank you very much, Indivisible Chicago, for inviting me.
There you go. If they invite you back, you going to do another one?
Yeah, and I will do it over Google Meet. No,
yes, you're gonna get your phone and you're gonna get the app and install it.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, by the way, speaking of my phone, I just got a text from Frank. It was the Ed Sullivan Show that did the censorship of the Rolling Stones. Let's spend the night together. Thank you, Frank. I thought that was it. It's Let's Spend the Night Together, but for Ed Sullivan, they sang Let's Spend Some Time Together. Oh. So thank you, Frank.
That's nice. They also made him change the Doors, right? Come on, baby, light my fire. I mean, according to the Doors movie, Ed Sullivan did.
I saw the Doors movie, and I don't remember that part of the movie.
They say, That's funny. Get higher or whatever, and they say, hey, can you change that? Not say we can get higher and higher, And Morrison just did it anyway. What a rebel.
I know. You see, Mick Jagger's like, hello, mate, whatever you say, Ed. But Morrison's like, F you, beep. Well, I guess there's no need for me to do the beep.
Oh, yes, there is. Yes, there is.
I just did the FU, and there's whatever anyway, because it's like I'm beeping out Ed, so it should be beep you Ed. There you go. I edited it myself. Shout
out to Kyle on the live stream chat. He says, just like Grandpa Simpson, old man yells at Zoom.
It's so true. But you watch, Kyle. Next time, I'm going to be a millennial. In about a month, I'm going to handle Zoom. I'll have it on my phone, like Dennis says, and I'll just call it up and go, yeah, I'm on Zoom here.
Give it time.
I love Zoom.
He's going to be a millennial. He's going to be skateboarding over to my apartment trying to do the show. Oh, my God.
Skateboard. I didn't even skateboard when I was young. Okay? I was never a skateboarder, dude.
So, okay, the Zoom meeting went well. Ben Joravsky was able to connect. I actually saw a picture of it on Twitter. Ben was smiling, so I guess things were good. He wasn't all grumpy and couldn't figure it out. So that's good. Go check out that Zoom meeting.
Let me just thank my wife. God bless you for helping me out with that. So there we go.
He would literally be lost without you.
Yeah, all right. True.
And before we go any further here on the program, we have to update all of you on this weekend's Benny J bonus interviews. Yes, it's true. Every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday while we're away, brand new one-on-one, never before heard Ben Joravsky interviews for you to play. So let's go over this weekend's lineup. First up on Saturday, this is going to be available by 5 a.m. He's back. It's professor and author of It's Time to Fight Dirty and his latest, The Kids Are All Left. It's David Ferris. We're actually going to be doing this interview after today's show. Ben, give us a little preview here. What do you plan on asking Mr. Ferris today?
Well, this is kind of a victory tour for David Ferris. And the first time I met David Ferris was when I had the old radio show at the station. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
WCPT 820, they fired you. So.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you for the memory. WC you later. Anyway, so he came on. He had just published his book, Time to Fight Dirty. I had never met him before. And I read his book before I brought him on. And it was one of those moments, D, where like, this guy is speaking everything I believe in, but I didn't have the information to articulate it. And I was like, thank you, David Ferris, because he made the point, which I thought was a very obvious point, but had been really never articulated that clearly, that Democrats were at a severe handicap when it came to battling with Republicans at the voting place, in Congress, at the courts, because Democrats are dedicated to this notion that, it's a fair game and that everybody's playing by the same set of rules. Democrats are dedicated to that notion articulated by Michelle Obama that when they go low, we go high. It's not just Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton. The Clintons should know better. If anybody should know better about how dirty Republicans fight, it's the Clintons. Rahm Emanuel, David Axelrod, They all dedicated to this notion that can we just be bipartisan? They're all dedicated to this notion that like there's this swing voter in some suburb who will decide the election in favor of the Democrats if the Democrats are nice and pretend that it's not an ideological battle and pretend that it's not a brawl. If they just kind of let Republicans do what they want when it comes to gerrymandering congressional districts, if they continually move to the right to appease Republicans, that somehow or other that's the winning ticket for Democrats. And Ferris said, no, that's a losing ticket. And that's why they've been losing. And he strongly urged Democrats to do things like add more seats to the Supreme Court so that we wouldn't have to play this bizarre nomination game with these lifelong appointments. If the Republicans are going to cheat and steal seats from us by not honoring the desires of Democratic presidents like Barack Obama when he nominates Merrick Garland, then okay, we'll just as soon as we can add more seats. And that way we can just tilt the balance. If they're just going to nominate Federalist Society robots, and they're not going to look for like, I don't even middle of the road jurists who have an open mind about issues and are not just following orders, then let's pack the court. Let's add more seats. If they're not going to play by the rules, we shouldn't play by the rules. And then, I mean, it was so clear, David Ferris, get rid of the Electoral College. We should have been moving in that direction from the moment that the Supreme Court stole the election from Al Gore and gave it to George Bush. So all these, make Puerto Rico a state, make Washington a state with senators and Electoral College votes, divide California into like several states, get more Senate, more Electoral College votes. These are things like David Ferris put out there. And I'm like, you know what? The Republicans would be doing this. And Democrats would be going, oh my God, they're doing it to us. And then they would be helpless to stop them. So it was his recommendation to, it's time to fight dirty. Sort of a facetious title. I brought him on. I talked to him. And he's been coming on my show ever since. He does an outstanding job of analyzing the events that are just unfolding. But he always has that long-range view of what Democrats should be doing so that we do not continue to repeat the same old mistakes. So I think he's going to take a bit of a victory lap on this interview, D, because his recommendation, which he made 3 years ago, to put more seats in the Supreme Court is being picked up by many mainstream Democrats who wouldn't even consider it back then, in light of the spectacle that Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump, the debacle, I should say, that that's unfolding right now, where they're disrespecting the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg by rushing to fill the vacancy before the election. So I'm looking forward to David Ferris taking a victory lap and then giving us perhaps more instructions on where he thinks the Democratic Party should go as well.
Once again, that's David Ferris, available at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, Saturday, at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcast. Now, Sunday's interview will also be recorded after today's show, but I already know what you're going to be discussing with Sun-Times Chicago Bulls writer Joe Colley.
Absolutely, Joey C. Joe Colley. All right. Now, Dennis always says, Ben, you're not allowed to talk sports. But I make an exception for my beloved Bulls. Joe Colley comes on from time to time. He's the beat writer for the Chicago Sun-Times. So this will be a break from politics. We'll be talking about my beloved Bulls. They got a new coach, Billy Donovan, Billy Ball. Dennis is so excited. He has a Billy Ball tattoo on his neck, which I'm looking at right now. And so...
Oh, man, I have to wear my turtleneck.
You can just imagine if you got a Billy Ball tattoo.
No, I don't have a tattoo of that guy. And I've been watching videos of this feller. Doesn't look like the nicest guy, this Billy Donovan. He just kind of, I don't know, seems kind of mean. Just by looks, you know?
Looking
never smiling, scowling.
Yelling at refs.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it takes, D, to have a winner. You got to scowl and be mean, all right? So we'll be taking a deep dive on my beloved Chicago Bulls. I'll be surprised how many people out there love these Bulls interviews with Joe Colley or when Vincent Norman comes on to talk basketball. So it's just a little break. just from the depressing news. And then we're going to get right back to it, D, with another interview. And you know who that other interview is, right?
It's Monday. Put on your big boy pants. Terry Cosgrove returns. This is going to be available by 5 a.m. on Monday, by the way. Sunday's interview also available 5 a.m. with Joe Colley. Terry Cosgrove returns. We recorded this after Thursday's show. Ben, give a sneak peek into our Monday Benny J bonus interview, would you please?
Well, it's more analysis of the Supreme Court and the impact it'll have, particularly on reproductive rights. But Terry Cosgrove, he's not a really popular person in many circles in the state of Illinois, to put it mildly, because he plays hardball politics. He was doing what David Ferris advises a long time ago. And his issue is his single issue, his primary issue is reproductive rights. And he is all about making sure that the state of Illinois does not retreat on supporting abortion rights. And to do that, he plays hard, he plays tough. And like I said, the right hates Terry Cosgrove. A lot of liberals and lefties don't like him either. It's how he plays the game. And I respect him because he understands how politics works. He understands what he has to do to get his candidates elected. So we'll be we'll do some analysis. He's got a lot in agreement with David Ferris in terms of what the Democrats should do with the Supreme Court. So interesting information be passed on by Terry Cosgrove. That interview has already been done.
He's a political Billy Donovan, if you will. Terry Cosgrove, that's going to be available Monday, 5 a.m. So run it down one more time here on Saturday. Professor and author David Ferris returns. Sunday, Joe Colley, Chicago Sun-Times sports writer, returns. And it's the return of TC Terry Cosgrove. Benny J bonus interviews are available at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcasters, live streamers, and YouTubers. Go download it. All right, local news. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Face coverings.
Today, the governor was at Howard Brown Health on 63rd Street. He was there at 11 a.m. to announce federal funding to support healthcare partners across Illinois. In statewide news, the magic number is 39. We're 39 days away from Election Day. And I'm sure you have plenty of sources for news on our United States presidential race.
And I tested very positively in another sense. So this morning, I tested positively toward negative, right? So, no, I tested perfectly this morning. Meaning I tested negative.
Play the radio. Make sure make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
Yikes. But what about the races right here in Illinois? Well, the Ben Joravsky Show is your local election connection, if you will. Ooh. For damn near a month now, we've been providing you with the news and information that you need to know in our 2020 Illinois general elections. And right now, that coverage continues. Ben, we have a new candidate campaign ad to play.
I love it. I love campaign ad. More Jeannie Ives? No Jeannie Ives?
You're going to find out soon, pal. It's time for a 2020 Illinois general election candidate update.
This is a 2020 Illinois general election candidate update.
Damn right it is. All right, today's candidate update comes from the heated rematch in the 13th Congressional District between incumbent Republican Rodney Davis and his Democratic challenger, Betsy Dirksen Londrigan. Ben, we actually traveled to the 13th Congressional District a while back for our Meet the Candidates special. You remember that, right?
Oh, absolutely. We got into a car, as I recall, and you were driving, as I recall.
Yeah.
And didn't the car make funny noises?
Funny noises? We were driving like badasses. We were peeling out, dude.
And I recall I had to bring all the change for the tolls.
That was yesterday.
Oh, sorry. Such a great gag. I thought I'd bring it back, D.
All right, I can hint some sarcasm in there. But it looks like we have a campaign ad battle happening between these two at the moment. How it's gone so far, Londrigan puts out an ad, then Davis hits right back with an ad of his own. Oh, my. The last ad we heard was from Rodney Davis. In this ad, Rodney Davis used what I call the Rauner tactic.
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
That's when an Illinois Republican puts out an attack ad during election season with hopes of attaching Democratic and, let's face it, kind of shady, Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan's head on their opponent's body. By the way, for the record, this tactic hasn't really produced great results. Bruce Rauner was barbecued in the 2018 election. Now, we played it earlier in the week, but to make sure we are all on board, here is the latest Mike Madigan is bad, so therefore Dirksen Londrigan is too ad from Rodney Davis.
I'm Rodney Davis, and I approve this message.
Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan is facing intense scrutiny tonight after being subpoenaed in connection with a bribery investigation.
Mike Madigan is the most corrupt politician in Illinois, and Betsy Londrigan is part of Madigan's machine. Londrigan raises money for Madigan in his corrupt machine, while her campaign is bankrolled by Madigan and his henchmen. Now Londrigan is refusing to call for Madigan's resignation. Betsy Londrigan would make Washington more corrupt.
Holy crap, that ad is scary.
Oh, I'm so scared, damn. I'm afraid to leave my house.
You too?
Madigan's corrupt machine. Mike Madigan. Yeah, I'm scared, man. I'm scared.
All right, but Dirksen Londrigan has hit back. Oh, my.
Whoa, that's good. You got to fight back, D.
Today, Betsy Dirksen Londrigan's campaign released its 5th television ad titled Real, which dives into Congressman Rodney Davis's record of voting to gut health protections for Central Illinois families. Illinois Trump campaign co-chair Rodney Davis has voted with the Trump agenda 91% of the time, including the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. In contrast to Dirksen Londrigan, who is committed to ensuring access to quality, affordable health care and preserving the ACA and the essential health benefits that Illinois families rely on. This 30-second ad will air in the Champaign, Springfield, Decatur media market as part of a district-wide buy that includes broadcast, cable, and digital platforms, and it's about to air right now on the Ben Joravsky Show. Here is the latest ad from the Democratic 13th Congressional District challenger, Betsy Dirksen Londrigan.
A nation mourns, and your health care is at risk. A Supreme Court controlled by Donald Trump could overturn the Affordable Care Act by the end of this year. Rodney Davis won't help us. He votes with Trump and the drug and insurance industries that gave him over $770,000. Davis voted 11 times to gut protections for pre-existing conditions. There's a better choice, Betsy Londrigan. Betsy will fight for every family to have quality health care they can afford.
I'm Betsy Dirksen Londrigan, and I approve this message.
Hey, Betsy.
Okay. First of all, can I just say this? As much as I support the message that Betsy Dirksen Londrigan is amplifying, that voice on these commercials, I don't know. Can we get a new voice? The doomsday voice? I mean, it's so overused. Anyway, I guess it works. They must have done focus groups on it, D. The doomsday voice. So we just heard Rodney Davis with his doomsday voice, Michael Madigan. Now, I take very seriously the issue at stake with healthcare, because as flimsy as it is, Obamacare is a safety net for many people, and the Republicans are dedicated to getting rid of it. And right now, there's a case that's working its way to the Supreme Court intended to get rid of it. And that case is supported. That effort to get rid of Obamacare is supported by Donald Trump's Justice Department. And if Donald Trump gets to pick a Supreme Court nominee to fill the vacancy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, then he'll have the votes necessary to annihilate Obamacare. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg was one of the votes that protected Obamacare. The swing vote in that case was Justice Roberts. So now he won't be the swing vote, because they'll have 5 solidly eradicate Obamacare voters on the Supreme Court. That's a fact. And that's something that we're going to have to deal with, the consequences that we're going to have to deal with. That's very real. It's a very real threat. So I applaud Betsy Dirksen Londrigan for raising the issue. I think it's an effective issue. Is it more effective than scaring voters downstate with Michael Madigan? I do not know. I don't know the downstate voter as well as, let's say, Dennis does. And it's not just you, but was it Danny B was on the show yesterday talking about all the Pritzker sucks signs in her neck of the woods in the 16th congressional district, which is in the northern part of the state. So the further away you get from Chicago and Cook County, the more effective the anti-Madigan, anti-Pritzker campaign theme is. So are people willing to sacrifice something as real and substantial as healthcare for this manufactured fear over Michael Madigan and J.B. Pritzker? Michael Madigan, who's what? He's your typical politician, no different than most of the Republicans. I don't know. We'll have to see. I would hope that people would put something substantive like concerns over healthcare over something manufactured, like turning your basic mainstream Dem into a monster. But I don't know. I don't know the 13th congressional district. I don't know how folks are feeling down there. I do know that election, we talked about this last week, D, was very close. The last time around, I think the margin was about 1,000 votes, something like that. Betsy Londrigan got over 49% of the vote. So she's got a few things going in her favor. There could be a big Democratic turnout, anti-Trump turnout. And the second bite at the apple, as we know, is generally the one that's more productive for the challenger. We saw with Marie Newman. You learn, you get your name out there, you get some experience, get your message out there again. So she's got a good shot, I think. And that Dirksen name, I can't, she's going to put that Dirksen name out there because, of course, Everett Dirksen, a senator, a downstate senator, well, he's state of Illinois senator, but he came from downstate, is still remembered by geezers like myself. So maybe people will vote for her thinking they're voting for Everett Dirksen's daughter or something. Hey, every vote counts, D. So I say, despite the fact that I cannot take another minute of the be scared, be very scared voice in commercials, I approve the message. I am Ben Joravsky, and I approve the message.
Oh, wow. I can just hear a campaign ad from you right now. Man, I'm Ben Joravsky, and I approve this message.
And then I would have you be the voiceover guy. Ben's opponent.
It's not going to come cheap, buddy.
Is reefer head. Be scared. Be very scared.
All right, Ben, on a 1 to 5 star scale, rate the latest ad from Betsy Dirksen Londrigan.
I'm going to give her a 4.
Whoa.
It would be a 5, but I hate that voice. I'm Dennis. Be scared. Be very scared. But
I'm
love
scared.
The message. Just don't like the voice. I don't know if there's any other way to do it. You know, I mean, here we go. I've never done a commercial, right? I don't know if there's any, they must have done focus groups. Like they watch people's response to commercials and they break out in the sweat. And I do know, we're going to be talking about this with Rummana. Liberals are freaking out now. Freaking out. As the November 3rd election approaches and Donald Trump with each proclamation, like he's not going to honor the results, the whole thing's corrupt, you know, with his Roger Stone talking about martial law and William Barr, you know, talking about rounding up thugs and hoodlums. You know, liberals are really freaking out, and they're still haven't gotten over 2016. So maybe that deep voice works. Maybe that's what it takes. You scare people into voting against somebody. It's the same thing as what? Inspiring them to vote for somebody. So maybe it works, Steve.
All right, so that was it. The latest ad from Betsy Dirksen Londrigan. Thank you very much, Betsy. And thank you, Doomsday Voice Guy.
A nation mourns, and your health care is at risk.
That was a 2020 Illinois general election candidate update.
That was a 2020 Illinois general election candidate update.
That's a little doomsday voicey, by the way.
Well, come on. It's called irony. Irony. They play baseball, and they like it. That's NPR talking about sports.
On to the news in the city of Chicago. No public events scheduled for our Chicago Mayor, Lori Lightfoot. But I have the latest tweet from the mayor. Yeah, I went to Twitter and looked it up here. So here's the latest tweet. Well, I looked this up about an hour ago. Judging by how Twitter goes, there's probably 5 more since then. But this is the one I checked at about 11:30. All right, let's see here. Lori Lightfoot tweets: Chicago took the Trump administration to court, and we won. But we still have to each do our part to make sure every Chicagoan is counted by October 31st. Critical federal funding is on the line for our communities. Text your friends. Get it done today. And attached is a link to fill out the 2020 census.
What a wonderful tweet. I forgot. There's been so many lawsuits. D, I have a confession to make. I have several confessions I'll be making in today's show. I don't remember what lawsuit she's talking about. Do you?
No, I don't.
I don't know what she's talking about in that tweet. So what a great tweet, Lori. Do you think she wrote that tweet, by the way?
Yeah.
You think she?
Yeah.
Hold on, calls. I have a tweet to write. And then she writes it. Figure what? How long it take her? About 5 minutes to do that?
5 to 10. Sometimes it takes a while. I bet she's got like people standing behind her going, no, put a comma there.
I don't think she did it. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Good. Yes. Get those census figures in. There's no joke. That is no joke. Got to be counted. And if you want to get federal money, if you want to get political representation, that's how the game is played, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, Lori Lightfoot, you're absolutely correct.
Now, the Chicago Sun-Times and the one and only Fran the Woe Man Spielman followed up on a story that we talked about on Thursday. Shout out again to our dear friend and Ben's former First Tuesday sidekick, Mick Dumke at ProPublica. It looks like he got the scoop on this one here. Mayor Lori Lightfoot violated the Open Meetings Act by hosting conference calls with aldermen in the early days of the shutdown triggered by the coronavirus pandemic. This comes from the Illinois Attorney General's office. Deputy Corporation Counsel Jeff Levine had argued the conference calls Lightfoot and top aides held with aldermen on March 26th, March 30th, April 6th, and May 8th did not violate the Open Meetings Act because aldermen were acting as, quote, community-based first responders, and no, quote, legislative deliberation or action took place. Levine wrote June 26 in response to a complaint filed with the Attorney General's office by ProPublica reporter Mick Dumke. What a bulldog. Let's see here. Levine said, quote, it was essential to disseminate public safety-related information as widely as possible to other city officers who could assist in implementing disaster relief and mitigation.
I learned about this because I got a phone call at about 6 a.m. from Mick Dumke, ecstatically. I made it! I'm in the Sun-Times! I'm in the bright one!
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
I'm just teasing. Mick did not do that, okay? I'm sure he was up at 6 a.m. I don't know if you know this, Dennis. Mick is an early riser. Seriously,
he chops wood.
Joke. No, you're the one who chops wood and smokes the bong.
Okay, don't do either, but go ahead.
Okay. Mick, he gets up early. Well, Dennis gets up early. He doesn't smoke the bong. That's a bad joke. He hasn't smoked in 3 months or whatever. But he goes for bike rides. People may not realize this. Dennis is an active bike rider. Mick gets up early and he goes swimming. Yeah, it's true. He goes swimming.
Swimmer.
He's a swimmer. So the two of you are, very ambitious young men. You get up early. I, on the other hand, slept till about 10 o'clock today. Anyway, so I have a confession to make here. I'm a little embarrassed. And I talked to Dennis about this. And I go, D, should I make this confession or should I just pretend the whole thing didn't happen? And Dennis said, you know what? Let your conscience be your guide.
Yeah, I said
so, that. Yeah, and...
Exact words.
He goes, let your conscience be your guide. And how can I rail and rave and rage against politicians who are less than honest with you folks if I'm not 100% honest with you. Right, D? So I'm going to come clean and I'm going to make a confession. It's an embarrassing confession, but I'm going to make this confession nonetheless. Yesterday, one Dr. D, one Dr. Doobie, one guy they call Dennis, dutifully sent me a link to an article in ProPublica by my dear friend and a former writing partner, Mick Dumke. And he said, you know what? I really want you to read this article so that you could discuss it on the show. And I said, D, I will do that. And guess what happened? I took a call. I took another call. I got sidetracked by reading another article. I had to write my opening bit. And about an hour and a half passed. We're on the show live. And Dr. D says to me, Ben, so that story by Mick Dumke in ProPublica, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell us what you think about it. At which point, ladies and gentlemen, I went habada, habada, habada in my brain. Because guess what? I had not read the story. Even though Dr. D had dutifully sent me the link, I had not read the story.
It's the theme of the week. It's the theme of the week. Ben Joravsky shoots another brick.
So, hey, I hit a jump shot yesterday, all right?
I didn't see it. Here, do one right now. Let's see it. Take that jumper. Let's see it. Come on.
We got to do this gag when Colley's on, by the way. I think he'll get a kick out of it. By the way, Joe Colley, hell of a jump shot. I don't know if you know that. Anyway, so I believe that journalism schools should be teaching a class on podcasting. And they should put their young scholars in the position that I was in yesterday. You're asked to comment on something you haven't read. So you have two choices at that point. You could either say, honestly, you know, Dennis, I have not read that story, even though you asked me to read it. So I really don't know what to say. In which case, Dennis will look at you and go, are you kidding me? I expected you to say something. You got to be kidding me, right?
Okay, I sound nothing like that. It's a horrible impression of me.
That's not really my Dennis Kid. Come on, man. You got to do it.
Oh, even worse.
I don't have an invitation. You don't, you have I don't know. I don't have an invitation to you. I'll imagine if Ken Davis was the host.
And that's good. That's damn good.
Anyway, I love you, Kenny D. Anyway, so folks, I just pulled an old trick out of the hat that I learned from Toni Preckwinkle. Toni Preckwinkle, when you ask her, you ask Toni Preckwinkle, hey, President Preckwinkle, is the sun out today? And she could say, yes, the sun is out, or she could answer whatever she wants to answer. So is the sun out today? And she could say, I think Donald Trump is a diabolical human being who deserves to be defeated at the polls. Yes, but what about the sun? And I think Dr. D is super cool. And I love it when he he does his imitation of Homer Simpson. In other words, you just sort of filibuster, and that's what I did, D.
Well, you're kind of doing it now. So can we talk about that story about that Mick Dumke wrote?
I just had to get that confession out. Anyway, I've had the opportunity subsequently to read the story, and it's an excellent story. Mick, take a bow. It's hilarious. Mick's story, in my opinion, is very funny because he starts off by talking about the city council as a rubber stamp body, and that people don't view it as a legitimate legislative body, and then points out that Mayor Lori Lightfoot was underscoring this interpretation. Because here's the issue. They had a series of meetings at the end of May, and this is all virtual meetings, where they were discussing the city's response to the civil unrest that took place right after George Floyd's murder. And there were over 40 aldermen and a body of 50 in these meetings. So those, by definition, should be open to the public, and there should be an agenda listed, and people should have the opportunity to listen to what their elected officials are discussing and participate if necessary, because now we have participation portions of open meetings. But instead, Lori Lightfoot treated it like an information session. So felt no compulsion whatsoever to invite the public. Now, I realize we face a lot of problems in America today. I would not put this in the top 10 of the problems we face in America. But when I view Chicago, my hometown, the town I live in, I should say, this is an important issue. It's an issue of transparency. It's an issue of whether we, the public, get to hear what our officials are up to and whether they are adequately addressing the issues of the day. So it should have been an open meeting. And her response, or the response of the lawyers, when Mick Dumke requested, when he asked why it wasn't an open meeting, was to say that, well, it was informational. And the aldermen weren't there as legislators. They were there as community-based first responders. That's ludicrous. That's BS. They're feeding you manure. They're coming up with an excuse after fact to justify something that they should have done, that they shouldn't have done in the first place. If they were honest, they would have a confession, like I just had a confession. And they say, you're right, Mick Dumke, we blew it. But part of the problem with elected officials today, D, is they never want to admit that they made a mistake, and so they compound the mistake. And it's funny how much they compound the mistake by this ludicrous, inane argument that legislators elected by the people are not legislators elected by the people. And by the way, here's my favorite part. This is in Fran's story, and I'm quoting from it. Ever since the meeting that was not publicized, the mayor has been careful to hold conference calls and Zoom meetings, talking only with small groups of aldermen to avoid violating the Open Meetings Act. So she wouldn't admit that she violated in the first place, but now she's continually violating in the spirit in such a way as to undercut any attempt by the Mick Dumkes of the world to call her out on it. So great job, Mick Dumke. Come on, Mayor Lightfoot, have an open meeting. This thing with these behind door meetings, if you want to call an alderman, just to talk strategy, that's one thing. But if you're going to have a meeting where you give out information and you solicit ideas and responses from the alderman, it should be open. The public should hear. And you know what? If you're going to have, if it's going to deteriorate into shouting sessions like it happened in this concealed meeting between Alderman Raymond Lopez and Mayor Lightfoot, so be it. At least we'll be entertained while we're enlightened, right, D?
Right.
So, right? Right. So anyway, great job, Mick Dumke. And I just had to get that off my chest. And I feel good, D.
All right.
Liberated.
Good. Now, take a shot here. Come on, you've been bricking all week here. Come on, the ball's yours. Ah, Jesus.
It's not fair. I hit 3 of them yesterday. Even he was impressed.
I don't know what you're talking about. All right, now give me the ball. Let me see this real quick. All right.
Here we go.
Yeah!
I particularly like the part of the shooting. Yeah. Good job, Mick Dumke.
All right, everybody.
By the way, can I just say Mick Dumke was on the show last week talking about football? Check that one out if you haven't already.
All right, there you are, guys. That's our local news. We're going to go ahead and take an early break here. And when we come back, it's another Rummana Rundown with Chicago Sun-Times editor Rummana Hussain. Ben, give these people a reason to keep on listening. What are you going to talk about with Rummana today?
Well, we're going to start off talking about liberals freaking out over Donald Trump and whether she believes that Donald Trump will leave from office if he loses, whether she believes Donald Trump will lose, whether people in her neck of the woods are freaking out as much as liberals are, and whether she feels the Tribune is right in that Donald Trump was honoring Ruth Bader Ginsburg by showing up there yesterday, or was it just part of a photo op, part of his plan, to just set the stage to really dishonor her? So, some of the conversation we'll be having.
There you are, guys. And remember, you can find us on social media at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You could send us an email, bennyjshow@gmail.com, and you can call us, leave us a voicemail. We're not going to answer, but you can leave us a voicemail. Oh, hello, Ben Joravsky Show.
Hi, how you doing?
Vilma's got enough going on, okay? But no, you can call us 708-658-4788. That number again, 708 888-658-4788. In fact, Vilma, here's the rock. Take a shot. What you got? Damn, she's good. Ben, go ahead. Ah, boy. It's the Ben Joravsky Show.
Man. Vilma's got that two-handed set shot.
Yeah, man. It's the Ben Joravsky Show. She does the granny shot. We're live from my apartment in his attic.
Open up wide, take a look inside, keep an open mind. If you got a racist fool, kick him off page 2, but keep his point of view. Why? The anti-labor world's greatest newspaper will always be here for you. So come on.
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
Face coverings. Hour number 2 of your Ben Joravsky Show for Friday, September 25th, is brought to you in part by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9, the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 150, and the Chicago Federation of Labor. Benny J, do me a favor. Take it away.
All right, will do. We're waiting for Rummana to connect. I don't know where she is, but that gives me an opportunity to talk about something that I wanted to talk about early in the first part of the show. We ran out of time. And so a couple of curious articles that may get cut off if Rummana comes on, and then I'll just bring it up at the end.
That's a tease. That's coming up, guys. Do not worry. That's coming up.
I'll just have to hold off about these curious articles, contradictory articles, one in the Bright one in the Tribune, because Rummana Hussain has joined us. Welcome back to the show, Rummana. It's always a blast talking to you.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing pretty well. Well, actually, Rummana, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm freaking out. And this was the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about. There are so many people in my just little world who are freaking out. Donald Trump has got to them. I get emails, I get texts, it's conversations, phone conversations, everything from Donald Trump won't honor the election. And then be a conversation like this, like, what if Donald Trump refuses to get to office? What's going to happen? They always ask me these things, like, how do I know? And then I'll say, well, I mean, first of all, I do believe he will honor the election. I think he's just, talking trash. No, but what if he doesn't? I don't know how to answer that, Rummana, because it's like, it's never happened in my lifetime. I know everybody thinks I'm really old and I've lived through everything. So people are losing their freaking minds. What about it in your world? Are people also losing their minds?
I think some people are just they're over the shock that he's our president. And then I think a lot of people do think, I think a lot of people in my circle basically think that there definitely still is a chance that he could win. I've heard that too. Like people, not that many people, but there are people in my circles who have said that if he doesn't win, they're worried that he's not going to leave, or he's not going to leave without a fight. And I don't know if you ever read that story, Bartleby Scrivener, I think is called.
Yes.
So, now remember that guy would never leave his work?
Yes.
So that's what I said. Do you think he's going to be like Bartleby and just kind of just sit there and like refuse to leave, or just say I prefer not to? I think a lot of people just think that it's just going to kind of, if he does lose the election, that it's going to just cause chaos, and it's going to be a fight. That's what I've been hearing a lot from many people. My circles, it's not like I'm getting panicked emails or anything like that, but people are just, calmly saying, there still is a chance that he could win. And, they hear about people, supporting Trump, and they just see and I know you said that it's never happened in your lifetime, a president not leaving the White House, refusing to accept that he lost. But we never had someone like Donald Trump in the White House, and there's been a lot of firsts since he's been president.
Yeah, you're right. He's the most openly offensive president of my lifetime. And he thoroughly enjoys needling liberals. And liberals have been in a state of panic regarding Donald Trump since 2016, when Donald Trump, quote unquote, defeated, I put it in quotes because he really lost the election, Hillary Clinton. And there's been, obviously, I have so many of the activists come on the show, a movement that erupted almost instantly, already trying to unseat him. And so I think as there would just be a natural tendency for people who really oppose Trump to be sort of losing their minds at this moment, because we're getting closer and closer to the showdown that they've been waiting for 4 years, and they're freaking out over it. But he does have a talent. I have to give him credit for this, for really knowing how to both fire up his supporters at the same time he freaks out his opponents. The two things are connected, because the more trash he talks, the more he says that the election is rigged, you can't trust absentee voting, I'm not sure I can abide by it, the more it puts liberals into a panic. And the more the liberals are in a panic, the more fired up his base becomes, which then just gets the liberals into more of a panic, because they go, oh my God, why aren't these people condemning this?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, can you blame some people for getting worried? I mean, I think it is kind of, Donald Trump sees like the left or people who are more left of him, get into a panic, and then he seems to be goading them, and then that excites his base, and then it just becomes this everybody just getting overly excited right now. And I don't know, I don't blame a lot of people for being anxious or worrying, people who don't want Donald Trump in office, because it is kind of unsettling. And I mentioned to you last week, I feel like the Trump signs, wherever there are Trump signs, they weren't that big 4 years ago, and now they're just like bigger than ever. I'm just saying, like, a friend of mine who lives in Northbrook just sent us I know we're going to talk a little bit about the sign that's in Northbrook, but there was a Trump rally there's a Trump rally in Northbrook, and it said something like, "No socialists allowed," or something like that. She was showing us a flyer, and it's just like the rhetoric I feel like has gotten more inflammatory within the last 4 years.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I just feel like the supporters are just a lot more vocal, and I don't know if it's like more. I just feel like there's more of a passion than there was 4 years ago for Donald Trump. From those.
We'll get into the protest. Neil Steinberg of the Sun-Times wrote a very good column, in my humble opinion.
That was actually the time we're going to talk about is different than the protest. There was a rally for Donald Trump yesterday.
Oh, a rally. It probably stems from the same issue that Neil addressed.
Exactly.
But we'll get into all that. It was a good column by Neil Steinberg in my beloved Brightwood, home delivered as always. All right. Before we get to Neil Northbrook and the Trump rally and their crazy anti-socialism signs, which are really trippy, I got to ask you about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And we've talked a lot about her this week, and we'll continually be talking about the filling the vacancy and the politics of it. Her death was announced Friday night after we were on the show, and it's just like, Rummana, it's like the world that existed before and the world that existed after. I just recall our conversation from last Friday. We weren't talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We weren't talking about the Supreme Court. We were talking about the election, et cetera, and so forth. And then just boom, her death changed absolutely everything. I'm speaking for myself, very consuming. Just a mixture of mourning her death, worried about the future of the country, all these things, and just angry at what the Republicans are doing and how blatant hypocrisy. What's some of the reaction that you've gone through in the aftermath?
Well, I mean, right when I found out, I was actually checking out of work when we got word that she died. So I was like just calling, and I was on the phone with the other editor, just checking out and going over the stories that haven't been edited for the day. And he's like, "Oh my God, Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away." Like, we got an alert from another colleague, and then we were waiting for the AP. I just kind of waited until I knew that they got the AP story, and we put it up. And I just started getting a flood of texts, which I'm sure you had too. And, Twitter went nuts on her dying. So, everybody, there was comments about, "Oh God, can 2020 get any worse?" Those kind of the commentary was along those lines. And then, people obviously sharing stories about her. And, one of the things that one of my friends pointed out is that one of her last wishes before she died was not to be replaced by the Trump administration, I believe, or that's what her daughter said. Or, that was something that she was really worried about.
Granddaughter.
So I got a lot of texts that night, and just from everybody, from my family, from friends, and social media. Jeff definitely had went kind of nuts on it. And, obviously, were you saying something? Sorry, was I interrupting you?
No, I just said granddaughter. It was just a minor thing. It was your granddaughter.
Sorry.
Yeah,
we want to be factual here. And so, there's then obviously the Republicans, started strategizing about what they were going to do and their plan. Donald Trump has said that he's going to name his pick, or who he wants to nominate for, this to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And then, obviously there's a lot of conversation about what happened when Justice Scalia died. Is that how you pronounce his name? In February 2018, on basically during Barack Obama's last year as president. And at the time, the Republicans, it was a majority, the Senate was majority Republican. They said, "No, you can't do that." And they didn't even let, so he nominated Merrick Garland, who actually grew up not too far from me, walking distance, about a half a block, around the block from me. He's obviously older than I am, but he did grow up around the block from me. And so Barack Obama nominated Merrick Garland to replace Justice Scalia. And the Republicans said that he can't do that. So I think Merrick Garland was the first nominated Supreme Court justice who didn't get a hearing. And so now a lot of Democrats and a lot of people on the left are pointing out that all of a sudden the Republicans want, with less than 2 months, like I said, Justice Scalia died in February 2018. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died in September. With the elections less than 2 months away, all of a sudden the Republicans are changing their mind. And they said that they want to nominate someone as soon as possible and get the hearings underway as soon as Donald Trump names who he's going to replace. And there's also been a lot of chatter in Chicago. There's an appellate court justice named Amy Coney Barrett, who a lot of people think is one of the front runners, or at least close to one of the front runners for Donald Trump as the replacement for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So a lot of chatter since she passed away.
Yeah, and I was hoping, of course, that he would appoint a male, Ted Cruz, to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because if you're just going to be a hypocrite and if you're just going to really rub it in our faces and you're really going to let everybody know, just go all out. Don't pretend like you care that it's a woman. You know what I mean? Just go for it, man. Be who you are. You know what I mean? Be kind of wimping out. Donald Trump, but just saying, Donnie, if you really want to rub it in our faces, go all out. And by the way, it still get those Republican votes. There's no doubt in my mind. He could put Attila the Hun in there to replace, and they'd still, Attila's got a great track record, got good scores.
Yeah, I mean, I think all these Republicans are who haven't spoken out against Donald Trump, they're definitely going to try to hold the hearings as fast as they can, quick as they can. So, so a lot of people are talking about pointing out the hypocrisy. But at this point, it feels like everything, anything that if Barack Obama did the same thing, we'd be still talking. The Republicans would still be talking about this. But, this is something that Donald Trump is doing, so therefore it's okay.
Yeah, by the way, they would be howling. Are you kidding? Oh my goodness, howling. And I just want to urge everybody to check out the interview I did with Meredith Shiner. I think she's really an astute observer of Washington politics. For years, she covered the Capitol for the Senate. And now she's out of the journalism game, but she still follows it closely. And she pointed out something. She spent about 10 years covering Washington, Rummana. And she just said, Democrats have got to stop following the narrative that the Republicans put out. Stop abiding. It's just what Republicans are saying, absolutely what they have to say at that moment to justify, and I got justify in air quotes, whatever political move they're making. But Democrats fall in this trap, Rummana, where like, well, you said this then, and now you're changing your mind. You're a hypocrite. And I know I find myself doing that. But the reality is the Republicans just like laugh at people like me. And they go, of course we didn't mean it.
Oh, they laugh at people like me too. I mean, what can you do? But, people are frustrated, so they are going to say stuff, right? We're not going to stay quiet.
Yeah, no, I don't want people to stay quiet. I don't.
But we are at this point, we are kind of going a little hysterical right now, but do you blame anybody?
No. I'm going hysterical right now, and I can't blame anybody. And I had fun with this one earlier. This headline in the Tribune today: Trump booed as he paid respects to Justice Ginsburg. Get your thoughts on this. This, of course, yesterday, Donald Trump went to the Supreme Court wearing a mask. Hadn't worn a mask in ages, and so suddenly he's wearing a mask. I really, like I said earlier, Rummana, I think he really does believe that only liberals get the virus. So since he was in the vague vicinity of liberals, he was going to put on a mask. This was, in my humble opinion, a staged photo op to carry on this notion that the Republicans somehow or other are mourning. I mean, it's so laughable. They're mourning over the death of a woman whose public role they utterly despised and can't wait to undo. And they got someone already lined up to undo her, but they're going to go through the pretense of pretending like they're really mourning her. And then, by the way, all right, since liberals, I'll put the mask on to make it look like, you know, I believe in the masks and social distance. And he schleps Melania along. I guess that's part of the prenup agreement they signed, that she has to show up for things like this. What was your response when you saw Donald Trump show up with the mask?
He wants to show that he's like, oh God, I still feel, you know, this is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you know, at the end of the day, she's the Supreme Court justice, very respected. So he wants to show everybody, like, I think when he got off the plane, when he heard that she passed away, he's like, you know, he made some sort of comment about like, oh, you know, I feel very bad no matter what you think about her. You know, he had to add that line in there. So he wants to show that, oh God, I have like, you know, I have morals and I'm a sympathetic person. I think that's what he's going for. You know, we have talked, Donald Trump is a known germaphobe. And I know he thinks that he's not going to get COVID, or only Democrats or liberals have COVID. But at the same time, I think he does, you know, he does realize that it is a pandemic. And so, I mean, he's hypocritical in that sense. You know, I think when he shows up for his base, he probably gets tested and makes sure that he doesn't have coronavirus, and then, you know, tries to stay away. We don't see the pictures of him standing next to his people really, really close. So I don't know. I think he does know that this is a dangerous thing. So, but yeah, I did hear that he was booed and basically said, vote. I think people yelled, vote him out.
Yeah, they chanted, vote him out.
And they said, I also read that people said, respect her wishes. I think there was some sort of commentary on that too. People were chanting. So yeah, I definitely think it was, I'm sure many people found it amusing that he was booed.
Yeah, I did. That was like that was the high point of yesterday. And no, but you're right. I was listening to you. It was funny. I was just imagining Donald Trump when he goes to his rallies. He wants to have indoor rallies. He discourages the masks, makes fun of Biden for wearing a mask. So all his groupies conglomerate, you know, they just pile in together, sweating and spitting on each other. He fires them up and he leaves. But you're right. It's not like a rock star who goes into the audience. He's not like Bruce Springsteen who goes into the mosh pit, you know?
Yeah, he's more than 6 feet away from everyone. And I bet everybody around him just got tested that morning, you know? So, you know, I'm sure they take all that precaution. You know, his followers, of course, they're all sitting in the audience not wearing masks because they drank the Kool-Aid. But I'm sure he takes very, very serious or like very strenuous or detailed precaution before he does these things without the mask.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to the Northbrook demonstration. Neil Steinberg's column was a pretty funny column. Get my Sun Times out. Why did you edit it by any way? Did you edit?
No, I didn't edit it, but I have a friend who lives in Northbrook, so she's the one who sent us. She actually is the one who told us about the Trump rally yesterday, and then she told us about the sign too. And then you reminded me that Neil Steinberg does live in Northbrook, so he wrote about this. It was a coronavirus sign. There's this man in Northbrook who's kind of an activist. He's like a very vocal activist, and he put up a sign that basically is taking the tally of the number of coronavirus deaths in the United States, and under it says we're number one, and then, you know, it's quoting Donald Trump. And obviously it's a criticism of Donald Trump, and a lot of people there are Trump supporters in Northbrook who were very offended that Donald Trump's name was on that, and they've been complaining that it's a political stunt because Donald Trump, they're like, why is Donald Trump's name on it? And then somebody a couple of days ago, or maybe this week, spray painted Donald Trump's name out, or they spray painted on top of his name. So Neil Steinberg wrote about this and how he was walking his dog and saw some guy like yelling at the activist who was like updating the tally about Donald Trump's name being on the sign. And then Neil said that he noticed. Neil, I think, kind of spoke with him a little, not that long, but then Neil realized that this is a neighbor that he's waved to before and lived down the street. So that was pretty interesting and telling. But yeah, I told you they had a rally yesterday. That's what a friend of mine told me. And then I guess it was in conjunction probably with this sign where some people have issues with because Donald Trump's name's on it.
Yeah, though it's, I had a little smile when I read Neil's column. The sign, I'm reading it right here. There's a picture in the bright one. It says, "We're number one." And then underneath that, it says 200,000 COVID deaths, USA. And then below that, it says Donald J. Trump, president. And so, Neil, by the way, the other part about it, he's walking down the street smoking a cigar.
Yeah, I didn't mention that. I was smoking a cigar and walking his dog. I didn't know Neil smoked cigars.
I didn't know the dude smoked a cigar either, man. Poor dog. Just got to walk along with the guy smoking a cigar. I don't know. That's the part I fixate. I got weird fixations, Rummana. Very good, Kyle. Very funny. So this outraged Northbrookian, I don't know, is that what you call them? Northbrookians?
Yeah, I guess so.
An outraged Northbrookian of the Donald Trump persuasion. Apparently, there's Trump supporters. I did not know Northbrook was such a hotbed for Donald Trump supporters.
That I was very shocked too. I told you last week. I grew up in Lincolnwood, but not too far from there. But I kind of feel like the northern suburbs, there are definitely, I'm not saying there aren't Donald Trump supporters, but I didn't know it was that fervent or like that feverish in that area. I just don't see it.
I did not know that. And I got back way a long time ago when Rummana Hussain was not even a year old. Young Benny, went to Northbrook. I was dispatched there by the George McGovern campaign to get out the vote for George McGovern. And let me tell you something. Back in those days, Northbrook was so Republican. Rummana, I'd go by so many houses that like the people had said that they're for Nixon. So like every seventh house, maybe there was a McGovern person. I would beg them, don't forget the vote, don't forget the vote. But in my mind, the northern suburbs have changed. You know, I look at the representatives they send, they elect. So I did not think that there would be a passionate, fiery, I love Donald Trump, I wear the MAGA hat proudly, a person in Northbrook. And here's what Neil wrote. He goes, Tuesday, he counters this gentleman, why is the president's name there? What's Trump got to do with this? End of quote. And then Neil writes, I'm not given to direct personal confrontation. The slow pitch of that question just hung there right over the plate. Why should this guy be the only one allowed to yell? I swung on my heels. If you have to ask, you'll never know. Touche, Neil Steinberg.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was a good comeback or a good retort. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I think this is why your liberal friends or your progressive friends are all worried, because I never knew Northbrook was some sort of hotbed place of Trump supporters, but it is. So I think they're just everybody's riled up.
Everybody's riled up. And so then they get into the issue. The Tribune had more of a article about the issue itself of whether that sign was too political for this common space, whether the Northbrook, the leaders of Northbrook should have demanded that gentleman take the sign down, that whether that's unfair politicking, the Trump supporters, who, by the way, it's really interesting. They believe they have a right of free expression to denigrate absolutely any liberal they want and not serve wedding cakes to gay couples. Just saying they claim that right, but they're outraged that this man would in any way, even if it's subtly satirical, make fun of Donald Trump. But the powers that be in Northbrook said that no, under the ruling of the law, they have to let that sign remain. So they're just following the law. They wanted to make it seem. So there was a Trump rally in Northbrook yesterday?
There was a Trump rally yesterday. I'll even show you the flyer that a friend of mine sent me after we're off the phone. Yeah, there was a Trump rally. So my friend said that she was going to go just to see what the deal was, but I don't know if she went. But you know, I haven't heard of anything happening in Lincolnwood or Skokie yet, or Evanston. But I always felt like Northbrook was close enough to those suburbs. But I know it's a little different. I mean, it's just kind of interesting how things have changed.
Lincolnwood, your hometown, where Merrick Garland was a young scholar at Niles West back in the early 70s. Is Lincolnwood? Is there any bastion of support for Donald Trump in Lincolnwood?
I'm sure there are Trump supporters in Lincolnwood. I don't think there's any town that doesn't have any Trump supporters. I just feel like in like places like Lincolnwood, because I told you when I voted in 2016, I hadn't registered to vote in Rogers Park at the time where I live now. And so I was voting in Lincolnwood, and I bumped into a family friend, and she told me she saw someone vote for Donald Trump. So she's like, I just saw 2 people vote for Donald Trump. So she was probably walking by and saw them, I guess she was coming pretty close. So I think there are Trump supporters everywhere. I just feel like in places like Lincolnwood or even Rogers Park, to say that you're a Donald Trump supporter it's something like people don't want to admit. Like they'll do it when they're standing in the ballot box or like, ready to punch in, but they'll never say it. So that's what is like very interesting to me, that, people I thought Northbrook would probably be the same thing or kind of like the same. But I thought people would just vote for Trump and not have any rallies or get all riled up about a sign. So that's why it's eye-opening. I just think there's Trump supporters everywhere. I just think that it's more of an embarrassing thing in like the northern suburbs, at least. I'm sure if you go to the western suburbs and a couple of suburbs like 30 miles outside of Chicago, it's fine. Yeah. I'm just saying that when you're in this specific area, pretty close to the city or suburb close to the city, I think it's, I don't think people want to openly say they support Donald Trump.
All right, let's briefly move on to give a shout out to your loving husband, who was celebrated in today's Sun Times story, Fran Spielman's story. I've already dealt with this at length on my show with my confession that I had to make. That would, of course, be Mick Dumke. I've talked about this already. And Mick wrote an excellent article for Politico about Open Meeting Act violation by Lori Lightfoot. What did I say?
You said Politico.
Oh my God! Yes, thank you for correcting me immediately.
I haven't read. I have to admit, I haven't read the article yet.
Well, true. You're speaking the truth, because yesterday, Dennis asked me to discuss the article on the air, and I hadn't read it yet. But I was like,
I do read all Mick's articles, but sometimes he talks about them, like, so I know all about them. But I did read Fran Spielman's article about Mick's complaint that was filed with the Attorney General.
By the way, is there any living with Mick since this happened? As he is like his head since he got mentioned by Fran Spielman in the Sun Times, has it gone to his head?
Well, I didn't even know it was mentioned in the Sun Times even though I was editing yesterday, until you told me. He just told me today after I was looking at the paper to read the article as you would sign to me. He's like, I'm a star now, so he's looking.
There's no limit with that. The guy's so used to it. But anyway, all right. So let me just get you way in on the gist of the point. Do you think that Lori Lightfoot is
violated?
Yes. Or did she violate the Open Meetings Act by having a private meeting and then later saying, what? They're not really legislators. They're just community representatives. Yes.
I think if you're going to look at, I think a lot of people would argue that she did violate the Open Meetings Act because there was no notice and the public wasn't told. So I think the argument can be made, she's having this meeting with politicians and they are discussing things that a lot of people, that's on people's minds these days, the looting and the protests and other issues that people have with, with what's happening at the state of, the city and all these questions people have. And I'm sure a lot of people, including protesters, would have liked to comment on things that were discussed. So I don't know. I mean, I would say that based on what I've heard, I think that she did.
She did violate.
Oh
yeah, okay, did violate. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. Come on, Lori Lightfoot. That. I know you literally, Lori, did not make that argument. Some lawyer of yours made that argument.
Yeah.
But that's the lamest legal argument. And my belief is, they teach lawyers. I've been told this. I never went to law school. They teach lawyers that you're supposed to be able to argue both sides of a case, Rummana. I know you've heard this too.
Yeah.
You have to be ready. That's a great legal mind. You can argue the side that you're on right now, but you can flip it and argue the other side. But this lawyer came up with this cockamamie argument that an elected official is not an elected official. While he was making that argument, he had to be thinking, oh my God, God, I need a drink after saying this. God damn.
Yeah. And you know what? I've seen this in criminal courts too, when it's just like, there's so much evidence against the defendant, and you see the lawyers kind of grasping for straws, but they're doing their best, and this is what they have to do. They have to represent. Everybody deserves representation. So sometimes it is very comical, I have to say.
Well, that
sad
one
situation, but very comical.
Yeah. Before we move on to your recommendations, give a shout out to an old friend of yours who's moving on. I haven't mentioned this on the show. Chris Fusco, the big man. I don't know what his exact title is at the Sun Times.
I think he's editor-in-chief. I forget sometimes too. Editor-in-chief, or not? Is he? Man, I forgot his title. I don't know.
I think we just call him Big Boss Man. Isn't that what we just call him? Yeah.
Just call him the boss.
The boss. Yeah. So talk about what Chris Fusco's doing. Give him a shout out.
Yeah, Chris Fusco, who's really, a lot of people, most of the newsroom, or everybody in the newsroom that I know of, really respects and likes Chris. He dropped a bombshell on Wednesday and sent us an email telling us that he was leaving to go start a startup in California. And he's going to be working with about 10 people. So, not that the Sun-Times is huge, but he's going to go from running the Sun-Times in, this is a big city paper, to going to a startup in California. I think the pace will be a lot more slower, hopefully, for him, because, he's probably spent a lot of, nights and days, just working. So he's leaving us. His last day is next week. I think after October 1st. I think October 2nd is his last day. And then he's leaving the next day. So less than a week, he's going to be gone. And it's definitely sad. I'm happy for him. And as I mentioned to you, and you didn't know, he's married to a former Sun-Times reporter and a former Tribune travel editor. And she had basically left the Tribune recently, and both Chris and Lori are big outdoors people. So I'm sure it'll give, Chris is always trained for like triathlons and marathons. And, I know one of the things with his new job and just running things at the Sun-Times, he told us that he didn't have that much time to do that. So I'm thinking in California, they'll have a lot more open space, and he's going to be riding his bicycle, training, running. So it is definitely sad. It's definitely sad. Some of us are going to a going away bash for him tomorrow. It's outdoors for anybody who's wondering, and so I'll get to say goodbye to him formally.
Well, he came on our show a couple times. He was always good to our show. But I gotta say this: I always thought Chris Fusco was a Chicago guy, but you give him a year in California, be like, hell yeah, Rummana, yeah. I mean, he needs berries, man.
He is a Chicago guy. I mean, he grew up in the south suburbs, and I think Lori, his wife, Lori Rackle, also grew up in the suburbs somewhere. So they're Chicago area people, which I was kind of shocked. People from Chicago usually don't want to leave, but California is nice, and I don't know, man.
There's a lot of. He's going right in the middle of a bunch of forest fires, Chris. Make sure you got that forest fire. And I don't know if he reads the newspapers. He's going to be running a newspaper, but there's a lot of forest fires. Chris, best of luck to you. And I'm going to say this as an outsider looking in. My beloved Bray won the Chicago Sun-Times, been subscribing to it since before Rummana Hussain was born. And it was a couple times I thought it was about to die. And I give a lot of shout out to Bob Ryder, the Chicago Federation of Labor, kicking in money to keep it going. Edwin Eisendrath, he get a lot of love in the newsroom, but Edwin Eisendrath stepped up to keep the Chicago Tribune from being purchased by the Tribunal, and who would have killed it?
Sun-Times.
Yeah, my bad. It kept the Sun-Times from being purchased by the Tribune, and who would have killed it? You know it, I know it, and Chris was part of the team that really did a great role in keeping the Sun-Times going with tremendous budget constraints and just of all the crises we've been. So aside from teasing him about his love for triathlons and how he's going to go all California on us in a little while, I want to thank Chris Fusco for doing a good job with all those other names that I mentioned who kept the Sun-Times going. And now it's up to you, Rummana. It's up to you.
Then it'll probably go. Sun-Times will fold if I'm taking care of it.
Stop it. Don't say that. All right. So let's close with your recommendations. What you got to urge us to watch, see, or read?
Well, I'm sorry I'm a little late to the game, but as you mentioned, you were watching Schitt's Creek recently. I just started Schitt's Creek last week, and I'm already on season 2, almost done with season 2. and I definitely like it. And so I've been hearing about this show for the last 2 or 3 years. People were just raving about it. They said it's a show from Canada, and I just, I was like, God, there's like 4 seasons. Now there's 5 seasons. And then I found out, look, another friend of mine was urging me to watch, and you were talking about it. And I know I still have to watch Pose. That is still on my list, and I will watch it. But I'm burning through Schitt's Creek pretty quick, and I do like it so far.
Yeah, I enjoyed it immensely when I watched it. I didn't get to see the final episode because it's not on Netflix.
You mean the final season?
I'm sorry, the final season, but I will watch it as soon as it's ready. So yes, enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun to watch. I got to tell you, Pose is so much better than Schitt's Creek.
Really?
Y'all, I think Pose is. It's so many levels. The best show I've ever seen streaming, in my humble opinion. I don't know if you saw this. I'm really interested in seeing this movie. Richard Roper wrote about it in today's Bright One.
The Chicago 7.
Yeah, and gave it 4 stars because one of the best movies. And I'm older than you, so I remember the actual trial. And
actually, when I was in high school, one of our teachers showed us a play based on the Chicago 7, so I'm pretty aware of it too.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch that. I'm probably going to have a discussion. I may actually drag Rummana. She's never participated in one of our group talks about movies.
Oh, I know. That would be fun.
Yeah, you have to watch it, though. I told Maureen O'Donnell, she goes, well, I read the review. I go, that's not good enough. You got to watch the freaking movie. I read Richard Roper. What good is that?
Well, that's because you probably tried to make her watch a Spike Lee movie. Or not a Spike Lee movie.
Quentin Tarantino.
Tarantino.
By the way, your name came up yesterday. I have to say this. So we're having a lot of fun playing commercials by Jeannie Ives. And Jeannie Ives is running for Congress in the 6th Congressional District in 2018. She ran against Bruce Rauner for governor in the Republican primary. Far right candidate. I mean, really far right. But because she's running in a district that's moving toward Democrats, it went for Hillary Clinton in 2016. She's trying to do whatever she can to moderate her image. Yeah. So for some reason, and I don't know why this is, her commercials always make reference to her shoes. I don't know why. She goes, walk a mile on my shoes. I'm trading in my heels for.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like she was going to talk about how fashionable her shoes are or something.
Well, no, she doesn't go there. And I just thought of you when I was talking about this, because one of the criticisms that Rummana has made about Quentin Tarantino is his obsession with feet. So I'm like, Jeannie Ives has got Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish.
Well, I'm not the only one, first of all, who says that about Quentin Tarantino, but I think a lot of people have said that. It's a well-known fact. You can just Google his name and foot fetish, and a lot of articles will come up. But yeah, I thought you were going to say something about me because I have a lot of shoes, and I thought maybe Mick mentioned how I did not
know that.
No, I have a lot of shoes. So Mick, a lot of my shoes are still at my mom's. So Mick is always perplexed by how many shoes I have and how many shoes I can get, and
I did not know that.
I like shoes, but I don't know foot fetish. But I don't have a place to wear my shoes anymore, so.
Yeah, he's just wearing them at home. So, all right, Rummana, stay safe and sound. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'll talk to you next Friday, okay?
Okay, see you guys later. Bye.
Very good. That's the great Rummana Hussain. Before we head out the door, you got any updates for me, D?
Yeah, we got 1 or 2 updates here before we roll out of here for the weekend. First off, oh man, that add it to the great list of impressions. Your Chris Fusco in California impression. That was really good. Let's hear it again.
Yeah, I really love biking, man. Oh, yeah.
I think he said something about berries. Oh, these berries, man.
Berries, man. All of a sudden I got Fusco smoking a reefer. By the way, you could smoke it here in Chicago. It's legal if you wanted to. But for some reason in California, oh, man. Yeah, you go out to visit them. Oh, these berries.
These berries, man.
These berries, man. You got to smoke this reefer and watch these berries do their berries thing, man. Whoa.
We want to remind everybody before we roll out and do these updates, too, to download this weekend's Benny J. bonus interviews Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Brand new interviews for you to download at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcast. On Saturday, we're going to be talking with David Ferris, professor and author of The Kids Are All Left. On Sunday, Terry Cosgrove makes his return to the Ben Joravsky Show. And on Monday, I may have these flipped around. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you do. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter because no one's going to hold us to it anyway. But, yeah.
Okay, let's flip it back around then. On Sunday, we're going to be talking with Joe Colley, Chicago Bulls writer, talking about that new head coach, Billy Donovan. By the way, shout out to Fred on the live stream chat. Fred said he met him in passing. He met Billy Donovan in passing. Couldn't have been a nicer guy, said Fred.
See?
Now, what he said once they got done passing, I'm not sure. But, yeah, that Fred, what a weirdo.
No, I'm sure Billy Donovan's a wonderful guy. Let's get Billy Donovan on the show.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. And on Monday,
politics.
Terry Cosgrove returns, the president and CEO of Personal Pack. Both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites, wherever else you download podcasts, available by 5 a.m. this weekend. Okay, moving on. Bye-bye, Boys Town. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and Mitch Dudek. Banners proclaiming a portion of North Halsted Street as, quote, Boys Town will be permanently removed because the neighborhood nickname makes some in the area, the heart of Chicago's LGBT community, feel unwelcome. The North Halsted Business Alliance, the local chamber of commerce, will be removing the banners in the next few weeks and scrapping the nickname from all marketing materials. The decision was made after the group conducted a survey. Now, really interesting here. Ben noted this before the show today. The survey, we'll go over it and then we'll get your comments, Ben. The decision was made after the group conducted the survey that found the nickname Boys Town made 20% of respondents feel unwelcome. The same survey found 58% of respondents wanted to keep the name. So a majority wanted to keep the name, but they're still getting rid of the name. Here is Jen Gordon. She's a spokeswoman for the Business Alliance. She said, quote, to really reflect the inclusivity of the neighborhood, the decision was made to eliminate it from marketing. The nickname will be replaced with, and it's not as catchy, Chicago's Proudest Neighborhood on marketing materials. The survey followed an online petition battle over the use of the nickname. I think that's really the gist of the story here. But what about this survey? Yeah, thanks for taking the survey, guys, but who cares? We're changing it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's the part I talked to Dennis about this morning when we were talking, doing our pre-show preparation, which is a long and daunting challenge every morning we go through to prepare this show. I just had fun with this deal. Look, I got no horse in this race. I actually think we had a conversation about this before. People are offended by the name. You get rid of the name. It's an offensive name to people. Move on. It served its purpose, the name. Change the name. I'm just saying, this is almost like Donald Trump math. You know, again, I just want to point out that mathematics is not my strong suit. I'm no damn Biss. But 58 is more than 20. So I'm saying, guys, I mean, most of the people said keep the name. Only 20% said get rid of the name. 58% keep it. So just curious about the mathematics.
You know, I don't believe you. I'm texting Dan Biss right now as we speak here. Is 58 more than 20? Just sent it.
Yeah, just run it by Danny, okay? He knows, D, because he's really good at math.
Okay, we got the response. Yes, 58 is more than 20. Thank God. Okay.
Thank Dan Biss first, would you, D?
Thanks, Dan
for
Biss.
Mayor, by the way, of Evanston.
Yeah, good luck in your mayoral run, Mr. Biss.
Yeah. Now, see, I will bet you, if Dan Biss in that race for mayor gets 58% of the vote and his opponent gets 20%, Dan Biss will be declared the winner. Unless, of course, Evanston's mayoral races are like the United States presidential races, in which point the guy who got the 20% will be declared the mayor. That's how we do it in the United States, D. If you lose, you win. Got that? All right. So that's why I'm saying it seems like the people in Lakeview kind of have that Donald Trump math. The loser in the poll won. Anyway, then I don't have a horse in that race, so change the name. But I'm not, but of that, I keep saying I don't have a horse in the race. I'm not quite sure. Chicago's proudest neighborhood. I don't know, man. Whatever.
Yeah. And also, the neighborhood's kind of ruined by all those Cubs fans. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember when people were upset when it was called Wrigleyville.
Call it Cubbyville.
That was a lot of people were upset, like Wrigleyville. And so anyway, 20% to 58%. Maybe they should redo the poll.
All right, and we got.
D, do you have another update?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that there was another article that I was going to refer to before Rummana came on the show, and I just
we teased it. Oh, give these listeners what they're waiting for.
So this one really probably deserves more time than I have for right now. And it gets into the intricacies of Chicago budgets and negotiations. And I know a lot of our listeners are from out of Chicago, so they may not be interested in it as soon as I say that. And everybody's freaking out over the pandemic and the election and Donald Trump saying he won't step down and Donald Trump abusing the memory of Ruth Bader Ginsburg by immediately filling her vacancy with someone who will try to undo everything she did. I understand these are all pressing issues, but there's negotiations going on between the city of Chicago and the Fraternal Order of Police, whose president is John Catanzara, who is one of the most prominent Trump supporters in the city of Chicago. Very proud of that fact that he wears the MAGA hat with pride. And Catanzara is a favorite of the Chicago Sun-Times. We always have fun with this, or at least I do. How many times his picture is in the Sun-Times? Well, D, I was paging through, and there he is again. A good-looking young man, Johnny C., okay? Johnny C. They love him at the Bright One, all right? And he's outraged. He wants a 17% raise over 4 years, retroactive to 2017. It's a complicated story. I don't want to go into all the details, although I find the details fascinating. Catanzara is pressing his case, and he says he gave a take it or leave it offer to the city on the 17% pay hike. But the part that I find interesting, he loves Donald Trump. He wears the MAGA hat with pride. He's open about it. He once posed with a picture. He's holding a sign that go, "I love the president." In the Tribune, oh, wait a minute, picked up the wrong newspaper. Sorry, D. There we go. Good thing I got my newspapers here. There's an article by Rick Pearson about Darren LaHood. And we talked about Darren LaHood the other day, D. He is
met him.
Representative.
Meet the candidates, right? We met him.
Right. Oh, yes, metaphorically.
Come on, go along with the bit, please.
Yeah. Wait, okay, I'm all mixed up now. Just help me out here. It's all the reefer I smoked in the 70s. When we do meet the candidates, is that the one where we get in the car?
Yes, that's the one where we get. Okay, you love that bit, I can tell.
Got the money for the tolls. Just had to do it. Sorry, D.
It's the one where we get in the car.
Yeah, I do love that bit. And one more time, Vilma. I mean, the sound production, the editing, just it's brilliant work. And you do a great job. You and the whole sound production team, all 10 of you in the sound production unit.
All 10, yes.
All 10 of you. Ben Joravsky Show. Man, guys, if you could see the staff we have that puts this show out. I don't know, are we up to 50 now, D? 50 full-time employees?
Sure.
Putting out this show?
Sure. Yeah, that's how many. Hello?
50. We have 50 putting out this show. Sometimes it's so crowded they have to use the porta potty.
Oh my God! Do you know how many people it took to make this sound? Like 30.
That was 30. Yeah, they were working on it too. I go, it sounds a little. Can we bring down the volume a little bit? They were all like huddled over their computer. It's like Mark Zuckerberg and Social Network. Anyway, in the Tribune, Representative Darren LaHood of Peoria. This guy is so MAGA. I think he's got a tattoo on his nose. He loves Donald Trump so much.
His nose.
He loves MAGA, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God. Who's out there that knows someone with a nose tattoo?
So here we go. Republican Rick Pearson's column story in the Tribune. Representative LaHood introduces plan for governments to get loans. Republican U.S. Representative Darren LaHood introduced legislation on Thursday backed by the GOP-aligned Illinois Policy Institute that would create a loan program for state and local governments, but it would effectively prevent Illinois from receiving any loan forgiveness because of its massive public employee pension debt. In other words, they'll lend us money to pay our daily obligations, but one of the daily obligations that we will not be able to pay are pension funds. Johnny, Catanzara, as I'm appealing to you as Trump's biggest public supporter in the city of Chicago, as the one guy who gets on his cell phone, boom, like that, can call the White House, get Donald Trump on that phone. As a guy that Donald Trump will always love and respect and admire and appreciate because you posed for a photo saying he was your president, and you took a lot of heat for that. So as a guy that has the love and abiding admiration and appreciation of Donald Trump, get on the horn and get something for Chicago. Allow us to use the bailout to pay the pensions. Those are police pensions. Right now, the police are begging, please, let's have a casino in Chicago. Who knows when that casino will be here? And what about the firefighters' pension? Finally, let's get something for your connection to Donald Trump. People in Chicago, why would they vote for Trump? He does nothing for us except for badmouth us. So I'm reading this article, Darren LaHood. He thinks he's slick. Like somehow or other, a pension obligation is not part of our obligations. So this is the mindset of Republicans in Illinois. They've lost their freaking minds. Well, we're against pensions, but we need money for it. They try to think of things they need money for. I'm not even sure what they think, what Republicans think is a legitimate expense. So I'm just saying, all you fraternal order police supporters of Donald Trump, call them up. We need help. Give Chicagoans a legitimate reason to vote for Donnie. Help us with our pensions. That's all I'm going to say, D. That was the update I had. I was going to say it earlier, but we had a break for Rummana.
Nice job. Nice job. Come on, Catanzara, get on the horn.
Call your guy. I mean, Darren LaHood is worthless. Let's face it. He's got a MAGA tattoo on his nose. He loves Trump. But he's like, what a terrible request. You call that a request? Help us out, but don't help us out for what we really need. Let's just let these pensioners starve. Oh, thanks for the help, Darren LaHood.
Come on, LaHood.
Come on, LaHood.
Get on the horn.
Get on the horn and call him. No, LaHood's like, don't worry about me, President Trump. I won't ask you to do anything for the state of Illinois, and I'll still bow down to you as though you're the monarch. Oh, I love you, President Trump. Come on, LaHood. I guess he's hopeless, but I have some hope for the fraternal order of the police. I cannot believe they'll just roll over like Darren LaHood and support Donald Trump, even though he does nothing, absolutely nothing in return. That's just what
LaHood, you piece of... Oh, by the way, Mr. LaHood, if you find Ben Joravsky's helmet, please return that to him. He left his helmet yesterday.
In Peoria.
Yeah.
That trip to Peoria. Hold on, D.
It's embarrassing.
Wait,
what? Oh, okay. This thing again.
Okay. That's tolls.
Hey, can you leave the production to Vilma, please?
Okay, I will. Sorry.
Vilma's getting upset over here. All right. And hey, you can get on the horn and call the Ben Joravsky Show. Did you know that? Well, you can. 708-658-4788. That number again, 708-658-4788. No, we're not going to answer. But you can leave us a voicemail, and there's a good chance we're going to play that on the program. Call us up. You can send us an email as well, BennyJShow@gmail.com, and find us on social media at BennyJShow, BENNY, the letter J Show. Get on the horn. Hit us up.
By the way, I just got a text from Rummana telling me, yes, showing a picture of the flyer. MAGA, it says. It says September 26th, Village Green in Northbrook, Trump rally. MAGA. These are the Trumpsters. We're MAGA, we're proud. So, yes, it was a Trump rally in Northbrook. The good Northbrookians showing their inner MAGA. Well, there you go, D. Anyway, that's the end of today's show. And I want to thank Rummana Hussain for being an outstanding guest, as she always is. And of course, I want to thank the man, the myth, the legend, the pride of Joe Bolton, Illinois, without whom the show would be possible. And as Darren LaHood, Donald Trump, and Rummana Hussain all agree, they call him Dr. D. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash.
Get on the horn.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Patient outrage. Face coverage. Face coverage. Face coverage.